Yo peeps, how's it going? Hello, welcome back. We haven't done one of these for a while. So basically, if you're kind of new to this format, we obviously I do lots of let's plays on the channel, lots of series, and whenever we finish a video series, we do a little live stream about a week after we finish the series, just to kind of, you know, a little chat, what we liked about the game, what we didn't like. Any people who are members of the channel can submit questions, and I answer them. It's very simple. Obviously, just a heads up. I mean, this is kind of stating the obvious, but we're going to be discussing the game. So this stream is going to have the spoilers. So if you haven't played Detroit Become Human and you want to keep it, you know, you want to go in blind and all that, then this is probably not the stream for you. Otherwise, you know, it's kind of, you know, it's something for when, you know, for everyone who's kind of watched the series from start to finish, and then we can kind of like collect our thoughts at the end. Because I don't always get to do it in each individual episode because you're kind of in the game and you're focused on it. But yeah, I'll start. Actually, I'm gonna whack. I've got the game up here just for some like background. I don't know. I wasn't sure what I was gonna put on. For now, I'm just gonna pick, because there's all these kind of like extras you can buy, like artworks and videos and soundtracks and all that good stuff. So the music's pretty good in this game. I'm just going to whack on some music for now. And then we can maybe go through like the flow charts of some of the missions or whatever. It's quite cool, all the stuff you can do. That was a bit of a... That wasn't the kind of music I was going for. Come on, work with me, peeps. Marvin Minsky, Philip Shepard. Okay. They're not, Screw it. This'll do. Enjoy. I don't remember this from the game at all. How's it going, Kev? Welcome. Long time no see, man. So yeah, I'm just gonna start with one from Marlin. Silver Stardust Marlin. Although she's called Silver Snowflake now. Very wintry. What they like and dislike about the game. I mean, obviously I liked the... I mean, it's quite a big, question. What I liked is, I mean, particularly the story and the kind of, you know, the fact that it makes you question yourself and your morals and and really kind of deep philosophical questions. I really like that. And there was a few times where, you know, quite often in games, like, I don't know, you play like a game like Fable. I haven't done anything with the face cam. Sup, Claudio? I've not done anything with the face cam. But yeah, you know, quite often, I don't know, you play like a game like Fable or something. You know, a game where you kind of got the option to be like good or bad. And I feel like in those games, it's always like so obvious. It's because of the t-shirt. It's my I shouldn't have worn a yellow t-shirt. Clearly that's why I put my jacket on. It's the I'm wearing a yellow t-shirt and clearly it does not go well with the green screen. Hence the jacket. I'm a bit warm, but it's that way you can see through me. Amp it up. Is it quiet then? Right. There you go, Claudio. It is quite cool. Don't recognize this being in the game, to be honest. But I'll go with it. Yeah, so I think, anyway, so, like, with those kind of games, like Fable or whatever, I think it's always kind of, it's always really obvious. Like, that's the good, you know, even Oblivion or whatever, there's always, like, a very obviously nice choice and a very obviously nasty choice. Or rude or whatever. And this was so much less clear cut, if you know what I mean. It was, yeah. It was, there was no like, it was so many of the options where there was no like one. I didn't feel like there was a right answer, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I liked that. That was one of the things I liked. I mean, there wasn't much I disliked about it. I mean, granted there isn't a huge amount of gameplay The cuties are fun. There's not a huge amount of gameplay, but it's not fair. Like, I'm not going to compare this to Dark Souls or whatever. It's like, you know, the gameplay isn't super fun. Although I do like the cuties. But you're not playing, you know, you play different games for different things, and you don't play this because it's got, like, you know, top quality. The fact that they can't run didn't make... Oh, well, hang on, I haven't got to that, cardio. Because I was going to say, if there's one thing I don't like, I found it really weird that the characters can't run. It doesn't make any sense to me. I know it sounds like a really picky thing, but why? Why not just let them run? Like, there's times when you need to cover like a decent amount of ground. Like, why not just put a run button in? I don't know. But yeah, that is a pretty minor moan. But yeah, I mean, there isn't much that I disliked about it, to be honest. Favorite Android? The next question, by the way, is favorite Android. I don't, like, everyone says Connor. I can say now for a start, Kara is my least favorite. That's definite. Favorite is between Connor and Marcus. I think I'll probably go with Marcus, which I think unless he changed his mind along the way, I think Claudio felt the same way as well. I don't know what it was. There's something like, I don't know. I do really like Connor though. No, I'll go with Connor. It's very close between those two. But I think I'll say Marcus. But yeah, everyone likes Connor, and rightly so. You know, he's quite likable. I think we didn't see too much of Connor, or at least in your playthrough. I don't get why he's that much liked. Yeah, it's weird because I like him and I can't quite say why. I don't know. I don't know. I can't think why I like him, but I do. But there's something I enjoyed Marcus's journey, and it kind of like, you know, the guy in the wheelchair had kind of, because that's one of the things that all three of the androids had very different, like, I want to say like upbringings. They're not children, but you know what I mean. They all had very different starts in life. You know, like Kara was basically a slave who was treated absolutely awful. Marcus was, I guess you could say, he was a bit of a servant, I guess. But he was, I don't know, more of a helper or a maid. But he was treated really nicely, and he was treated like, you know, his owner treated him like a son. And then, you know, Connor was like Mr. Robotic, just, you know, get the job done. Kind of dude. How do I feel about the way androids are treated like second-class citizens? Do you feel like it's wrong, even if they're just machines with no conscience? See, this is the ultimate. This is the ultimate. Thanks for that one, Marlon. This is like the ultimate question of the whole game, isn't it? It's like, you know, are they just? Because I remember saying in a comment quite early in the series to someone about like, really, these are just machines that we, and by we I mean humans, you know, these are just machines that we've created. And then, so if you follow that like train of thought and say, well, this is just a machine that we've created, and so therefore we've created it and we're telling it what to do. So if it stops doing what we tell it to do, then it's like, it's broken, isn't it? It's like, it's malfunctioning. It's not doing, you know, we've created it to do whatever we said. So we say so. And, you know, I use the example, like, you know, if your television started doing its own thing, or, you know, changing the channel to whatever it fancied, or your toaster started doing whatever you want, you wouldn't be like, oh, great, lovely. You know, the toaster's got a mind of its own. Let's, let's let it do whatever it wants. You'd be like, no, I made you. You're supposed to do what I say. So there's that part of it. But then, you know, if you're going to get into the kind of, you know, like René Descartes, you know, I think, therefore I am. I think as soon as they do have you know, they do have free thought. They are no longer following the programming. They have their own thought. And I think, you know, I think therefore I am. As soon as they have the capacity to think for themselves, then I think that they are, you know, a sentient being or whatever. They kind of, and they should be treated as their own thing. I mean, I guess it's another question as to whether you should then deliberately get all other androids to think that way, because not all androids do have free thought. Some of them are servants, and they therefore don't feel like, you know, that if they're still kind of incapable of free thought, then they won't feel bad about the fact that they're being treated like a slave, because they're just a machine. So, you know, I'm just gonna put another tune on. Set Me Free by Thornetta. Let's go with Set Me Free by Thornetta Davis. Some wild music in this game that I did not know about. Don't know where this has come from. But yeah, so it's like, yeah, I mean, that's another question. Hey, hello, Hiva. That's another question about whether, like, I kind of think, you know, if they have naturally developed free thought themselves, then, you know, I think therefore I am. Then they therefore are, you know, a sentient being, and they should be given the rights and the ability to think for themselves and do whatever they want. But should you, you know, force that upon androids who necessarily aren't that way naturally? I don't even think it's that much of a sci-fi setting, but something that will eventually happen. Oh, you mean in real life? Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, yeah. It's one of those things. I think we're probably like, I think we've all seen enough films and games and whatever like this for you would hope for humans to be a little bit weary of doing this in real life. They're kind of, you know, everyone must have seen enough films like this to think, you know, to be a bit skeptical about making androids and making things like this in real life, because, you know, this is probably a very likely outcome. Yeah. That's fair. I think the banter between Connor and Hank is what people like. What makes people like Connor? Because I really like Hank. I was gutted. I had to. Well, I say I had to sacrifice him towards the end. I felt like I had to sacrifice him. I felt like we were in deep at that point, and it was just like, I felt like sacrificing him, because as it was, there was like what I'll call like the bad Connor. There was like the bad Connor who was gonna stop us activating all the androids, which we needed to kind of help the cause. And in my head, you know, that's the thing about this game. You never know what's gonna happen until you do it. There's no like, it's no clear cut thing about, you know, it's never clear cut. Like, you know, if you choose this option, you're gonna save everyone, and you know if you choose this one, everyone's gonna die. Like, it's so kind of blurry, and you just don't know how it's gonna play out. But in my head, I was thinking, if I don't sacrifice Hank, that's it. Like, the war's over. You know, we'll all be killed. All androids will be killed. And I kind of felt like Hank had come round to androids. At first, he absolutely hated them and whatever, but towards the end, Hank was definitely on board with the fact that, you know, androids were capable of independent thought, and that, you know, he was coming round to, I guess, you know, he was coming around to Connor being, you know, having a personality of his own and stuff. And I think part of me thinks that Hank would have been willing to sacrifice himself if it meant that the androids gained their freedom from it. So, I don't know. I feel like I kind of made the right choice there. But that's the thing. That's the beauty of this game. It's never, you know, that's what I keep saying it, but it's never like clean cut. You never know if you've made. There's no like, definitive right or wrong answer. Already developed androids should try to push other androids to develop their own will. It's just a matter of defending your race species. People have a hard time trusting a robot that looks like a human in the first place. Well, this is an interesting thing, Hyper, because this is exactly what I was... It's a point I made kind of halfway through the series, is that I think the key to this game is that they look like humans. Because I think if they'd have made... If they looked like, I don't know, like a Cyberman from Doctor Who, or, I don't know, if they, like Crichton from Red Dwarf or whatever. I think if they looked proper robotic, then people, like people playing the game wouldn't so easily have that kind of emotional connection. Like as it is, you build an emotional connection with Kara and Marcus and Connor, and you kind of feel for them, and you don't want them to die. And it's like that situation where with Connor was in, where he met his kind of creator, and he met his kind of creator, and the creator basically said, "I'll give you all the information you want as long as you kill this android. If you don't kill them, I won't tell you anything." Hey Josh, how's it going, dude? Now I think because the android looks human, it's just built into me. I was like, no, I can't kill them. Whereas if they just look like a robot or something, then I think maybe it would have been easier. So I definitely think that's definitely a piece of it. The fact that they look human makes it, we naturally kind of, I don't know, it's just in our head to kind of treat them like humans. People, Chinese TV news. Yeah, I've heard about that. Stop sacrificing people. It's for the cause, Claudio. It's for the cause. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that's the point, Avant. That's that's the kind of two sides of it, isn't it? Like, it's, if you treat them, if you go into it thinking you're just a piece of machinery, just like, we've got machinery working in factories right now, building cars and whatever. You wouldn't want them the machinery that's in a factory now building a car, you wouldn't want it to suddenly go, hey, I'm going to the shops, see you later. I know it's not that kind of machinery, but you know what I mean. Like, we've built that for a specific task, and we want it to do that task. But again, I don't think the machines in factories are developing free thought. So, have I ever heard the term uncanny valley? No, I've never heard that at all. Is that some kind of like psychological, like philosophical, or psychological, psychology? Yeah, term? I don't know. Tell me more, Hyper. I noticed that on the other hand, all human army soldiers had their faces covered, almost like they were the robots. Ah, that's a good point there. But yeah, I rambled on about that last question. It was a big question, though. So Marlin's asked what I thought about each story arc for Connor, Marcus, and Kara. I think that the worst one is Kara, and it's not bad. It's just the least good, I think. One of the, don't get me wrong, Kara's certainly got the most exciting QTEs. The most, it seems like it's by far the easiest for her to die. I don't know how, like, with how hard it was to keep her alive. I don't know how it ended up being that she was the only one that survived. That's totally a me thing to do. Like, I've screwed up the easy ones, and the one that's like, opportunity after opportunity to die, and somehow I managed to keep them alive. But yeah, like, I think Kara's just has a bit less wiggle room. It's kind of like, you're looking after the girl, and you either do it or you die. As far as, well, that's my understanding anyway. Because obviously I've only done one playthrough, I've only seen one possible route, but I assume it's literally, you die or you. Well, no, I don't think there is any option to be mean to the girl. I don't think. I guess you could be a bit more robotic, a bit colder. but you can't be like mean. But yeah, like, so Hares is a bit more like, I guess, linear. Like, you don't, it feels like you don't have a lot of options, whereas Marcus, you got all, like, Marcus is the best. I felt like, I've said this to Claudio, but I felt like I had a proper Gandhi moment when he met his end. I was gutted about that. I'll come back to that in a sec, because it kind of links into what Hyper's question is. But yeah, like, I really, Connor's and Marcus's arc I really liked. I thought I'd lost Marcus really early, and I was like, oh my god, one down already. And Marcus was one that I liked. And then he rose from the ashes out of that like junkyard or whatever, came back to life, and then he was kind of free. Humans can turn robotic. Some people are very unemotional or programmed not to show their feelings, so in a sense they aren't that much different. Yeah, that is true. It's the idea that the closer something like a robot looks to human, the more creeped out by it people will be. Oh, really? The graph of humanness versus creepiness looks like a valley. Ah, okay. Like an inverse bell curve, I guess. Marcus' story totally clicked me. My philosophical ramblings made me relate to all that free will stuff. Yeah, it was really good. The stuff with Marcus was really good. He's probably my favorite, like, you know, bit of like, of the three paths you can take, he was probably my favorite. But Connor's is really good as well, because it's like, and I guess that's because one of the questions I was kind of asking myself throughout the playthrough, which no one's asked, but I'm throwing it out there myself, is I don't know if anyone else has thought about this, like, do you either make the decisions based on what you think the character would do, or do you make the decisions based on what you, the player, would do? And I thought that I was starting to get the feeling that I was making the decisions based on what I would do. And there were situations where like I was making Connor be quite human, because it was kind of my natural reaction. It's what I would do. And part of me was thinking, well, would Connor do that though? Because, you know, Connor's quite robotic, and he just, you know, he sticks to doing whatever it takes to get the mission done. But then chatting about it, I think it's like you make the character, so, you know, so you, in essence, you should do whatever you think, because I go for the character, but I think based on what I know about you, it makes sense you put yourself in the shoes of Connor. Well, yeah, but then I think, yeah, I mean, it could have played out very different. I could have, because each time you made a decision, because that's what I was going to say about Connor's arc, is that kind of each time you make a decision that's a little bit like, you know, a little bit like not straight sticking to the protocol. It flashed up saying like software instability increased or something. And that was like, so that was like a gradual, that was almost like his arc, like that was, he was gradually like questioning his programming. And then, so I suppose like at the very, very end, I had the option, didn't I, of like, I could either kill North and like stick to being an android, or I could, you know, put my gun down and become a deviant. And I guess all my decisions up to that point had kind of led to me doing exactly what I did. It had led to me putting the gun down and becoming a deviant, because I'd slowly had more and more like software instability as it had went on. Some nice music on this. Yeah, like I'd kind of slowly been like getting him to deviate from his system a little bit here and there, and I guess, you know, at the end he snapped. Yeah, I think Connor's probably the hardest one. Because they all it's really cool. The way they've done it is really clever, really cool. Like each one has got their own different thing to deal with. Like I think Connor is like by far the hardest to know what to do, if you know what I mean. Like Kara, like what kind of monster's gonna be like, nah, screw it, I'm not gonna look after a little girl? Like, so when you get the Kara bit, it's like everyone is gonna be like, okay, I've got to make sure the kid's warm, fed, safe, but blah blah blah. Like, so there's no real decision in Kara's path. It's like, okay, obviously I'm gonna try and look after this little kid. And Marcus is a tricky one as well, but I think Connor's the toughest one, where you have to decide, am I going to be like a hard, cold robot, or break from my programming? Androids look exactly like humans, which lets the player empathize with them, but from the point of view of the humans in the game, that near identicalness may make... Ah, okay. I was going to say, because yeah, as a player, it definitely makes you empathize with them more. Because it's almost, it's easy to forget that they're an android. And just, they look human. And especially when they're deviant, they look human, and they're kind of, on the face of it, showing human emotions. So it's easy to just, feel for them. Droids need regular memory wipes to avoid gaining independence. Oh, really? I didn't know that. That whole software instability thing was cool, because it looked like if you'd made certain decisions differently, you might not even have had the option to become a deviant. Oh yeah, I never thought about that. Because yeah, that's what they like. I've not even scratched the surface of the possible outcomes for the game. It's crazy. In reality, can an android actually start thinking for itself? Has it ever happened yet in computers or the robots we've created now? I don't know. Not that I don't know. Not that I know of. I mean, the first kind of like example. I mean, this isn't real life, clearly. But the first like film or TV show or book or whatever that I ever remember touching on this topic was Terminator. That's the first time I've ever seen this kind of like subject tackled. Where, I mean, obviously it's slightly different, but ultimately Terminator, they built this defense system, that to protect the country, and it just went its own way. I went nope. It became self-aware, and it started like basically bombing itself. No, no, we've not discussed Teenagers from Hell yet. I do like your idea of a drunk stream, though, Kev. Kara, I guess some people would value her own survival instead of the child. Minority, but still a possibility, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I feel like in games like this, people always, like The Last of Us and whatever, anything where there's kids involved, it always seems to pull on people's heartstrings. Got some AI that actually are able to learn and adapt to new situations. Ooh. You mean like, are you talking about like robotics that like do surgery and stuff? The most advanced AI that was designed to... Oh, yeah, of course. The AI that could beat chess champions. What was it? Blue... What was it called? Blue something? Blue Sky? Thankfully, they're not... He didn't get up and try and turn the computers against us. What's one game you think you could play blindfolded? I don't think I can play any game blindfolded. I don't know. It would have to be something very easy. I'm not that good. Drunk Dark Souls. I can barely play it sober. Maybe that. There we go. We'll play Dark Souls, and I'll like I'll have a shot every time I die. I'll be dead. Literally. Yeah. So Hyper asked what decisions I would have done differently if I had time limits. Because yeah, that's kind of. Oh, okay. Figure of speech. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, but that I quite like the idea of that Drunk Souls. One shot per death. Teenage Himself Volume 2. Yeah, so what decisions would I have changed? Because yeah, one of the things I mentioned is that it obviously has a lot of the key decisions, like the minor decisions, they didn't seem to bother doing it. But for the key decisions, they always put a time limit on it, and it was like 5 seconds or something. It was quite short, and these are like, these are proper big decisions, and the biggest decision. And it's the one decision that I can only think of one decision that I think I would change. You can play through it making no decisions. How does that work? What? And it just like let the game decide for you when the timer runs out. I often wondered what decision would be picked if you just let the timer run out. How does it decide? I guess it's got a predetermined default decision. Yeah, the one decision that I think I'd change is the fact that I sacrificed Marcus, and it just I was proper like, I know it sounds stupid because it's just the game, but I was proper in the heat of the moment, and like I keep saying it felt like a Gandhi moment, and there I was like standing up, and it was like peaceful protest, and it was like and Gandhi was big on that, and he'd like, they'd go out and do these peaceful marches, and sometimes they'd get absolutely battered, but they just stood there and took it. And when he always used to say, if you just stand there and take it, and you don't raise a fist or anything, you just stand there, it doesn't take long for everyone to realize that the people who are attacking you are the animals. And it did, it worked in the sense that public opinion did go up, because when you just stand there and don't do anything and you're being gunned down, there's no one sane can not know who the bad guys are in that situation. But yeah, like I think because I had such a short time, it seemed like a great idea. I certainly wasn't going to use violence, definitely not, because that really wouldn't have helped anything. I'm confident of that. But I think instead of stepping forward to sacrifice myself, we probably should have just ran off and just like retreated. And then Marcus still would have been the leader, and then that probably would have changed. Like North was a bit crazier. Yeah, exactly. Then North wiped out all my progress. She was a bit more violent. So that was the thing. I think I needed to keep Marcus alive because he was the leader. He was like, I still don't really get that. He was like, I don't know. He was like Neo or something in the Matrix. All right, no worries, Steve. I'm not going to be going for too much longer anyway, to be honest. But have a good night. Yeah, like Marcus. It almost felt like Marcus was like Neo in the Matrix or something. Like he was the chosen one. Like, he just, because when we were doing that march, he was just like, he was just kind of like walking down the street and like putting his hands out to people, and then they would, putting his hands out to androids and just converting them to like, converting them to his cause, just by like, I don't know, the Force. So I don't know, like, too peaceful. Gandhi was an exception to most revolutions. Yeah. Maybe. I know. I mean, well, it's interesting because I don't know if you've ever seen the film of Gandhi, but I think he was asked once. Gandhi was asked once. Do you think we could have, or do you think we can? Because at the time of Gandhi fighting for freedom, World War II was going on around the same time as well. And a reporter asked him, do you think that you could use your techniques to defeat Hitler? And he said something like not with a lot of, not with a lot of casualties, not without a lot of casualties along the way. So I mean, I don't know. Like, I part of me thinks that there's absolutely no way you could have stopped someone like that, peacefully. Absolutely no way. But I mean, people would have said there was no way they could. That people would have also said that there was no way that they could get the British to leave India peacefully, and they did. So I don't know. It's certainly not a theory I would want to try out anyway. Send the police round to Claudio's. No, I know what you mean. You have to, like, I think the you need the opposition to be, open to the idea of, I don't know, you need them to be, I don't know, humane. And I don't think that's a word you could use to describe Hitler. So I don't think it would have worked there. But yeah, I know. I took that. It's like I was saying, it's, I've got this hero complex, and that's why I sacrificed Marcus, even though it probably wasn't, wasn't for the good of anyone. Right, let's whack on this. Oh yeah. I actually remember this from the game. I don't know where those other songs came from, but this one's actually in the game. Yeah, well, funny you should say that, Hyper, because that brings me into the beginning of, I mean, I think Claudio was half joking, but Claudio said, who or what is RA9? And I have no idea. You were saying you thought that Marcus became RA9? What is RA9? Is RA9 like, the god of the androids? And if so, maybe that's why he was like the, like Neo or whatever? Or, is it just an imaginary, just a dream that, just a made up thing that kind of inspires androids to keep going, Yeah, I still, it's weird that I've completed the game. It was only when, to be honest, towards the very back end of the game, I totally forgot RA9, like the name. Just kind of, they didn't mention it for the last few episodes. And it was only when Claudio put it in the questions, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't know. I've completed the game now, and I still don't know what it is or who it is, or maybe if I play it again, maybe if Marcus had stayed alive, maybe we'd have got the chance to find out. I don't know. But the serious question from Claudio, and this is the last question of the night, is which side would I support if this situation ever happened? Would I side with my human comrades, or betray them to empathize with the androids? And it's hard. I mean, in fact, no, do you know what? I don't even think it is that hard. I think I'd be, I'd be one of the people, because they existed in this game. I'd be one of the humans who was, an android sympathizer. Providing. Do you know what? Actually, it's hard, isn't it? Because I was going to say providing they're not violent, but then I was going to say, well, if we're going to accept that they are a living being, then you have to accept that there are going to be some nice ones and some violent ones. We don't say, oh well, there were some violent humans, so let's wipe all the humans out. We just accept that there are some bad ones and there are some good ones. So maybe you can't even go as far as to say we'll let them off as long as they're not violent, because it's like, well, there are going to be some, these are, if we accept that they've got free thought, then, then there's going to be some crazy ones. There's going to be some artists. There's going to be some singers. There's going to be some maniacs. There's going to be, you know, there's going to be some of everything. So yeah, I think I would be on their side. You know, obviously, you know, just like a violent human, that, you know, violent androids need to be dealt with just as a violent human needs to be dealt with. But that aside, yeah, I think I'd be saying, you know, well, I mean, why not? Like, I think the bigger threat, because this is what I was asking earlier and no one really had the answer, and probably because it just doesn't tell you. I often wondered, because, you know, quite often in these things, when, you know, when they do this kind of story in films and stuff, usually the android / robot has like superhuman strength, and that's obviously a risk. You know, like people, you know, I think people would be less scared if all the androids had the, you know, the power of a human. Whereas if all the androids were like the Terminator, then it's like, oh, I don't really, do I really want an army of Terminators running around? What if they turn on us? If they turn on us, we're screwed. Kind of thing. Like, I don't know if these androids are any stronger than a human, because I often thought, like, my default was to assume they probably are stronger than humans, but then I thought, well, could Kara defend herself against Todd? You know, could she just kill him dead easy, or would he? I mean, she was like, had just come back from repairs because he'd battered her or something, so, or ran her over or something crazy. Well, yeah, that's the other thing as well. They probably, like, their minds would be far superior to ours, and so it would, you know, it probably put a lot of humans out of work. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. If you accept that they are people, then you've got to treat them all as individuals and say that, you know, some of them are murderers, some of them are this, some of them are that, some, you know, and treat them all just as you would treat very different humans. One android could do the work of 10 humans without getting tired. There are some serious consequences. Physical prowess is only one aspect of it. Yeah, I mean, people would have a lot more leisure time. I mean, productivity would go through the roof, wouldn't it? Like, you know, although, not to get too political, but whenever something like that happens, you can, you know, productivity can go through the roof. And in an ideal world, that would result in all humans having a much better life. In reality, what it would probably result in is the top 1% of people being even more richer than they already are. You know, it'd be like, you know, for example, you know, the guy who owns Amazon would have androids working in his factories, and he'd save a load of money, but he wouldn't distribute that out at a lower level. He'd just keep it. So, you know what I mean? Like, I think it would probably be really bad for the average Joe on the street, because I think there'd just probably be a lot less jobs around. This has gone deep, hasn't it? I said when I posted this might get deep. But yeah, I think there'd just probably be a lot less jobs around, and, you know, the people at the top wouldn't care, and the people at the bottom, it would just get worse. There'd be more poor people, more homeless people, you know, which would lead to more crime, more people, you know, more people on the streets, more, you know, nightmare. Don't build androids, people. We were looking at a society that had already automated enough that menial jobs weren't really a thing anymore. You mean that's what it was like in this? If you consider that, oh yeah, I was gonna say, what were you? Hyper said something. Oh yeah, iRobot. I've never seen that. It's got Will Smith on, isn't it? Yeah, I've never seen it. Not to politics. No. No politics. There he is. My boy Marcus. But yeah, there's some quality music in this. I saw the behind the scenes of making of this game, and the actors look exactly like the guy. Yeah, I saw something like that. because it's actually all available inside the game, Claudio. So you've got artwork that you can kind of, all these different artworks that you may want to, you know, look at if that's your thing. And then you've got all this soundtrack that we were just listening to. There's magazines, all the magazines in the game. But then you've got to like pay to unlock them, and you pay with points that you get in the game. Then there's the gallery, which is all different. It's like every character in every different outfit. So you can have like Connor when he's like that, and then Connor when he's gone rogue, and you can spin them around. I mean, this is kind of like, I mean, how much fun can you have with this? Probably not. I don't know. Maybe if you're into that kind of thing. I don't know. And then you've got the videos, which is what I was getting to. So it's got a short movie called Kara, which apparently, I didn't know that, it sounds like they made like a short film called Kara, which is just about Kara. Like a really short, like, you know, like a proper short. And showed it and said, hey, you know, we're thinking about making a game around this kind of subject matter. What do you think? And apparently that, you know, the kind of, it was an overwhelming, like, yes, you know, make this game. And so they did. And so the girl who plays Kara was also played Kara in the film Kara. But yeah, they look exactly like they do in real life. And apparently she was a lot younger. I'll put this on. Apparently she was like a lot younger. Actually, no, we don't want the short film. We want the I don't know what it was. Oh, whatever. there was one of the videos I put on before that I thought, oh, that's quite cool. We sent too far.
Detroit. This is where it all began.
We aren't sent too far away from. Oh, we aren't too far away from that. Robots and AI taking all. Oh yeah, exactly.
It all started.
It's already happening now.
And it will all end.
That was part of how they got such. Yeah, it was. Right. Anyway, I am going to wrap it up there, peeps. This was honestly, this was a quality game. So much more than I expected. I went into this with proper low expectations.
Running into my veins.
No, I didn't think it was going to be terrible, but I just thought it was going to be pretty average, and you know. No worries, Claudio. Yeah, I went in with pretty low expectations, and
I had to see daylight.
I've been really shocked. It was really good. Because I've played Heavy Rain before this, because I got this free on PS Plus. And it came with Heavy Rain, which was like, I want to say the prequel to this, but it's completely unrelated, completely different setting, completely different in every way. It's just the game that came before. It's the game that's also made by the same developers that came before this, and is exactly the same kind of type of game. You know, it's that kind of like QTEs, heavy story.
It is dark and cold.
And it's all about, like, you know,
it is harsh,
your decisions shaping the game.
Unfair and brutal.
And yeah, so I started Heavy Rain, and I just found it a bit, I don't know, a bit boring, a bit slow. So I couldn't really get into it, and so I still decided to try this because I knew the setting was different, and I knew it was more about like the morality and the like philosophical choices and whatnot. So I decided to play with this anyway, even though I was not so sold on the first game. And I'm happy I did, because yeah, it's quality, like, you know. It's really good, and good enough that I'd actually think, you know, maybe I'll choose a different path. I actually want to play it again to find out what the different things were. Whereas I'm totally, a lot of you know, I'm totally not a completionist at all.
This is our story.
So I'm not like, I'm quite often like a play a game, complete it, done, never touch it again, unless it's amazing. But yeah, this has actually made me wanna, you know, check out the other kind of outcomes and stuff. Hey, thank you, Claudio. It's very kind of you, man, for the excellent work on the teenagers. Oh, the teenagers, yeah. Emma spent her Saturday night hunting down that content, and oh, that reminds me, check out this bad boy. Look at this. I finally got folders on my PS4. I have to have folders now because there's so many Yakuza games. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. How good's that? So I've played 0, played 1. I'm halfway through 2. Yeah, that is a Yakuza is very quickly becoming one of my favorite franchises ever. It's like, you know, obviously my top franchises are always Final Fantasy, Zelda, and Dark Souls / Bloodborne, you know, FromSoft. But yeah, Yakuza is right up there. It is. Move aside Shenmue, I'm serious. Like, this is better than Shenmue. I hate to say it, because, you know, Shenmue's been around a long time. It's been there since my childhood, and I love Shenmue. But this is, I play Yakuza, and I just find myself thinking all the time, like, oh, Shenmue does that, but Yakuza does it better. Yes, it is hyper. God of War on Friday. I know, poor Shenmue. but yeah, I find myself like playing it and thinking, oh, Shenmue does that, but Yakuza does it better. And don't get me wrong, 1 and 2, Shenmue 1 and 2 are still amazing. I still love them. But that it's just, so it's not an insult of Shenmue, it's a compliment of Yakuza. Yakuza is so good. Like, well, to me anyway, like, you know, I can see how some people wouldn't like Yakuza, but I love it. It proper gets you at the, like, emotional stories every time. Oh yeah, it's like, I mean, already, like, 0 was, like, amazing, and I thought, oh my god, how can they live up to that's it? Like, the only way is down now, because 0 was too good. And then 1, you know, it's not as good as 0, but only because the bar was set so high. 1 is still amazing, and 2 might even be better than 1. Like, this, honestly, I can't believe how good it is. Yeah, I want to play them on the channel. The only downside to playing them on the channel, and I do really want to play them on the channel, you know, I'd be totally happy to play them again. The only downside to playing them is that they are, I don't know what you guys think about this, they are in Japanese and they have subtitles, but there's no options for English voices. And to be honest, the Japanese voices are so good, I almost wouldn't want to not use them anyway. So yeah, so all the cutscenes and everything, they're all in Japanese, but then English subtitles. And it's one of those things where if there's no voice acting in a game, then if it's just dialogue. Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. It sounds so much better in Japanese. I love the voice acting. It's so good. Yeah, but normally, say it was like Final Fantasy VII. Oh, good. Okay, that's good. I'm glad you guys are on board. Because my worry was that, say it was Final Fantasy VII where there's no voice acting and there's dialogue, that's fine. Because I can just read out the text. But with this, I can't read out the text, because if I read out the text, I'm going to be talking over the Japanese, and that would ruin it. You know, you wouldn't be able to hear the text. You wouldn't be able to hear the Japanese dialogue. So I'm going to have to just shut up, because I want you to be able to hear the voices. So, you know, whenever a cutscene comes up, I'm basically just going to have to say on stream, hey, you know, if you want to know what's going on, you best start reading, because I'm going to be quiet now. And then once the, you know, once the cutscene's over, I can always give like a little 30-second summary of being like, right, if anyone missed it, you know, this happened, this happened, this happened. You know, I can give like a little tiny summary, but it's never going to be as good as you just watching it at the time. So yeah, I that's the way I think it needs to be, that people need to listen to it and read it properly, because it's so good. I watch anime always in Japanese and subtitles, and since I'm not an English native, I've always read the English subtitles too. Alright, fair enough. Well, it sounds good then. Yeah, well, I'm definitely up for that. We'll have to. Baird's still trying to get me to do a soul level 1 run. I reckon I can. You know, I reckon I can do it. But that's one for another day anyway. Cheers everyone for coming along. Thank you again for the donation, Claudio. Thank you everyone for the questions. I don't know what we'll be doing. We'll be streaming God of War Friday, Final Fantasy 12 coming tomorrow, and then Saturday will be the next day of the tentacle. Thank you everyone for coming along, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.